Hello, this is Rebecca Navarez, and this is my curriculum analysis presentation. I chose to do my analysis on the second grade Ohio mathematics framework. Foundations. My first impression of this type of curriculum is that it is a planned curriculum because of the way that all of the content and content areas are categorized within subjects and subject fields, as noted in the lecture and learning session 1. When first looking at this curriculum, it is noted the amount of headings used for the important content that needs to be covered. According to the general guidelines of a curriculum, as written in Curriculum Today by David G. Armstrong, all of the topics need to be broad enough so that many important detailed ideas can fall under the topics, but at the same time, they cannot be too broad that the students would find it all too intimidating. The topics within this curriculum format follow these guidelines. Within these headings, the instructional program designs are accommodating to the students, since it is for second graders. This is important to note, since younger students need more internal divisions than older students. This type of curriculum is structured so that the second graders have more divisions within each standard clustered than other grades. Throughout these divisions, there needs to be proper sequencing that is appropriate for the content that is being taught. In the beginning of this second grade framework, before listing any of the standards or other aspects of the framework, it describes the mathematical practices. Within this heading, it describes in order the way the creators of the instructional design wish for the educators to guide the students through solving and understanding mathematics. It starts with making sense of the problem all the way to reflecting on reasoning. In the introduction of these standards, it talks about the process and understanding mathematics. This foundational piece of instruction can help educators better understand the importance of using this framework. Looking further into the curriculum standards, it is noted that these content standards fall under all three types: procedural, declarative, and contextual, as referenced in the lecture and learning session 3. The procedural standards identify processes that the students need to know. The declarative standards identify more of the basic information students must learn about specific ideas, and the contextual standards are made to help students identify the different knowledge and skills needed to work in a different context. This is all noted within the second grade framework. Organization. As according to the lecture from learning session number 5, the elements of a curriculum design include the objective, subject matter, learning activities, and evaluation method. The second grade mathematics framework touches on each of these elements within its instructional design. The objectives of the design are noted in each category as the header, as seen in this image on this slide. For instance, under the first set of standards for operations and algebraic thinking, it says, represent and solve problems involving addition and subtraction. Therefore, the educator can assume that the section holds the title true as its objective. The subject matter can be understood as the header itself. Accordingly, this section is called Operations and Algebraic Thinking, which is what will be taught. The learning activities are the clusters of standards themselves. So, for instance, when looking at this same section, one of the learning activities would be using addition and subtraction within 100 to solve 1 and 2 step word problems involving situations of adding to, taking from, putting together, taking apart, and comparing with unknowns in all positions by using drawings and equations with a symbol for the unknown number to represent the problem. Many of the other standard clusters are formed the same way. therefore following the same framework method and organizational manner. Content. When comparing the content being taught in first grade to that of second grade, there are several overlaps where the second grade framework builds off of what should have been taught in the first grade framework. For instance, the first standard in the first grade design framework states that students will use addition and subtraction within 20 to solve word problems, and so on. Then in the second grade framework, it states that the students will use addition and subtraction within 100 to solve 1- and 2-step word problems, and so on. This shows the way that the framework within grades using the students' prior knowledge to better understand the content being presented. In the third grade framework, this is also seen. The students have to first understand well enough what is taught in their grade mark to build into the next grade or even the next section of the curriculum. The content in the second grade is broken up into steps that all build off of each other. This can also help the educator see the flow of the curriculum, but there still may be questions. Each section builds off the other. The content also has a glossary for mathematical words within the curriculum that the educator can become more familiar with. It can also serve as an aid to the teacher so that they can have a true definition if/when a child asks. There are also several examples of content problems in the back of the document. They can be used as a reference for teachers in the classroom if they are struggling with how to set up certain problems or what the framework is of an idea presented in the curriculum. This can help teachers understand the types of math problems the curriculum is asking for. Assessment. The framework does not give any specific assessments for the curriculum, but it does describe several ways to create assessments. It states that designers of curricula, assessments, and professional development should all attend to the need to connect the mathematical practices to mathematical content in mathematics instruction. The second grade curriculum framework emphasizes connecting the practice to the content within assessments. It also emphasizes the importance of assessing mathematical procedural skill and understanding the framework that pushes for two to go hand in hand. Critique. The three major influences on curriculum are the society, the learners, and knowledge. This mathematics framework includes these influences within its design. It has connected with society through the types of mathematical problems assigned in the framework. Many of the mathematical problems relate to certain aspects of the world that will help the students better understand society around them. When looking at the learners, as noted earlier in the presentation, the design allows for the younger students to have a better grasp of the content being taught through internal divisions. Lastly, the knowledge of the curriculum is based upon practice and reason. The content within the curriculum has significance because it answers yes to the two questions. Is the mastery of this content essential if students are to do more advanced work in this area? And the second question, does the mastery of this content give students control over information that will transfer in useful and productive ways to other settings and situations? The way the content builds up through each grade level shows the control it gives students over information that will transfer to other situations. It also helps students advance within their work through attaining mastery. Each grade level builds upon what was taught in the last, and if there is ever new content, it still has basis in the student's prior knowledge. Also, the way that the information is presented throughout the curriculum allows students to feel a sense of confidence and accomplishment through their ability to understand the new information because of what was learned in the past. This contributes to the influence of the learner as one of the major influences on curriculum. It helps students better understand new material by giving them practical skills and understandings to fall back on. The framework within this curriculum builds off of each other, allowing students to better understand. The only question that comes to mind about this curriculum framework is the order. Each section has its own corresponding topics and detailed activities, but I am not completely sure of the order of the content. Is it supposed to go in the order it is written? Or can a teacher start at one end and finish at the other? Or can they jump around? Does each section have to be completed and understood in full before moving on to the next section? I know that each grade level flows together, one building off the other, but does each section within the grade level content have to be completed in order? And this concludes my curriculum analysis. Here you can see my references.